Hi, Veronica. You've done a fine job in bringing this work to its final project state in assignment 1 in week 6. We've discussed how it's reminiscent of jewelry, but as much as it has a silhouette of something like a wristwatch, I think that you've brought it past that. There's a certain quality of abstraction, there's a suggestion of jewelry, but it really does feel like a composition that can stand in its own right without referring to something we know, like a watch. Lovely job. I like the embellishments and those arcs, particularly, that you've added. If there's anything you could change there, it might be to make sure that the arcs closest to that central circle are the same distance from it. Flo, you've come up with a very attractive final project solution that looks like it would work very well as a rug. In fact, I like the way that it's something like a composition or a canvas, a painting, yet designed to lay on the floor. I've studied it in comparison to the work that you did for week 5, and this has come a long way. I like the omission of the strokes. The strokes made it feel a little more like stained glass, perhaps. Hi, Juanita. I noticed that you let the swirls extend out into a frame region. I'm looking at that frame, and it is a rather nice addition. However, I feel as though the widths of the sides of the frame vary. For instance, well, I can see that the top and bottom black bars are wider than the right and left ones. And I actually took out the color picker, and I think your two green verticals don't match exactly RGB wise, and I wonder if they're quite long enough. Check the outside corners to see that they tuck neatly underneath the yellow circles. If you're interested in using this for your portfolio, this is a nice piece, and thank you for labeling it with your harmony. Hi, Donamar. This really is nice work, and perhaps it's not what you envisioned at first. I look at it now, and it reminds me a little less of Macintosh's work than your thumbnails in outline form did. I'm thinking about how you've managed the color and also the shading. I really do like the shadows that are cast by the balls. They might be flying or bouncing or hovering. I'm not sure, but it suggests a sort of space. I also look at those uprights behind the balls, and I wonder, is there a landscape like a rainbow-colored ground behind them, or what goes on beyond? Do they stand up vertical? Are they a sort of fence or a line of telephone poles? Now, I noticed that the balls are shaded differently. One looks metallic, another one looks matte. And I wonder if that's too much variation in that department. Also, think about color. What does it do to have the yellow ball in front of the yellow background? Is it meant to be a kind of camouflage? Is it intended? I think one thing you want to do is be sure that it looks like it's controlled. Hello, Teresa. I recognize that you've been working steadily through weeks 5 and 6 toward a good solution, and this is quite competent. I mentioned before, I do miss the wavy lines in the background. I like that bit of variation. However, this is a nice study of analogous color, and I believe it works with your theme. Gloria, I like the way that you cropped this. That was a suggestion. However, it wasn't necessary. But the cropping makes the work feel rather complete. The composition seems very neat this way. It's interesting to notice that you went to lynda.com for some help with Photoshop. Good work on this final project. Well, hello, Joni. I added your week 5 work here in addition to your final project. The final project came out quite nicely, and I'm glad to read about all the thought that went into balancing that composition. Amy, this has really grown more sophisticated and involved since the previous week. Excellent job on your final project here. Just one little suggestion for you, Amy. You know, I think perhaps it'd be a good idea to shave a tad off the top. Notice how if we compare the shapes that are in the upper right and left versus the ones in the bottom there, we don't see things centered in terms of what shall I call it, the navel of the design. Also, it might be that you've got a little more room width-wise on one versus the other. That would be something to check. I'm not sure, however. Hi, Chuck. It's good to see how much more you've done here. Well, perhaps you're a person who belongs to the more is more camp. I don't know. I hope you will take a look at the night scenes, often including boats, and this sea by Albert Pinkham Ryder. I pointed you in his direction before. I'm looking at this composition, and I'm thinking, it feels like the moon is a hub for light, the light that it shines down diagonally toward the boat, and then also the light that extends from two directions at the lighthouse. Curiously, the lighthouse is now behaving a little bit like a faint echo of the boat or the mast of the boat in the background. We've got those two uprights. Lovely work. I really feel the sense of the gleam of light in the sky. Hi, Christina. You know, I'm really impressed with the direction you took this in, and I can see it particularly as a design for glassware, and of course it might also make a great shower curtain, for example. But I feel that this is actually a rather sophisticated design, and it feels modern or even contemporary, and I'm quite proud of what you were able to accomplish. I do believe it's lovely and that it meets the ideas you presented both in your proposal and here in the statement.